Welcome to a special edition of Engage ICT, sponsored by Susan and Leon Mader of Mader and Associates. I'm Sarah Jane Crespo. During the height of the pandemic shutdown, I produced a segment called Viral Kindness to highlight ways that people were spreading contagious goodwill in difficult times. I spoke with so many people who were recipients of small gestures of kindness and some who turned it into a much larger project. Today, we'll revisit two of those stories. Up first, Carla Jackson Patton and Jennifer Connolly teamed up with Jennifer's husband, Kent Rowe, to provide care packages of food for an impoverished Wichita zip code last year. Since then, Jennifer and Kent's church has joined in, First Unitarian Universalists of Wichita. Let's listen.
For Thanksgiving, everyone got turkeys. Our single ladies got little Cornish hens, but they got an entire Thanksgiving meal. It's so rewarding when you deliver the packages and the people are so grateful.
Ladies, thank you very much for talking with me today. I really appreciate your time. Will you first just kind of catch us up on what has happened with your project in the time since we spoke last? What's going on?
It's expanded to a whole community, which at First UU, they've really come together to make sure everybody has Christmas gifts for the kids and cookies. It's became something that we've come together as a community to be more present with others, and I think it's a great thing.
So Carla, what have you seen since last we talked? I guess, are there some stories that you would share of people really impacted by this work?
Well, yeah, it started out with us addressing kind of the food insecurity surrounding COVID, but we do wellness chats. So it's just really rewarding to be able to help people that are underserved. We have one couple, both of them have a disability, and there are a lot of services that they're not aware of, and Jennifer and Kent make sure that they are connected with services, and we kind of connect with landlords and all that. So that's just the reward, to be able to help people that would otherwise not have these resources.
So what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you faced with this project? And I don't know if it was before the last time we spoke or if this is something since then. But Jennifer, why don't you start maybe from your angle on it? What has been the biggest challenge?
The more you get to know the families, the more you get to know their needs. And when you know their needs, you're like, well, what can I do next to make their lives a little bit better? So sometimes it's a challenge to, like Carla said, to connect them up with the services they need. But that's the biggest challenge, I think, is trying to find something outside of the normal, just food insecurity, and go beyond what else is causing problems that we can address. I always worry, that so some months there'll be a little less money because First Unitarian Universalists is, a lot of people have given me money. They've donated food, they've donated toys, they've donated cookies, all kinds of things. But sometimes the money will come up a little short. And just when I think, okay, I'm not going to have anything this month, or there's going to be very little, except for one of my people at First Unitarian. But then I get a surprise. I always get a surprise, and I just kind of take a leap of faith, and everybody is it's just a really awesome community.
Well, last question for you ladies. What would you say to someone who is considering starting a project, maybe not exactly like this, but just something that they see as a need in the community that they are passionate about, or that they think maybe they could help with? What would your advice be to someone who wants to help?
So if people want to get involved, they can partner with other organizations. I just say, if that's your passion, just go for it. It's kind of like the two fishes and the five loaves. It will multiply and grow. So I just urge anyone that you have a love of serving, just do that. There's a quote I read the other day. The reward is in the service. You don't look for the financial gain or anything like that. It's just the reward is in being able to help somebody.
Well, you ladies are an inspiration, and it's beautiful what you're doing, and I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we will keep on getting through this challenging time together.
Our second story is with Richard Ruth, who helped a neighbor avoid getting into legal trouble with the city of Wichita simply by cleaning up her yard, and discovered what a difference it makes to see your neighbor's unkept exteriors as a sign that they need our help rather than simply an annoyance. He's made partnerships, activated volunteers, and formed the organization called Neighbors Indeed.
Started posting, neighbor in need, and giving people a little bit of a synopsis on what the problem was. And there was just an overwhelming amount of willingness on the part of our neighbors to go out and help folks that were in these straits. It's real simple physical labor, but when you turn and walk away from one of these jobs, there's a level of peace that you get when you know that you've just solved a problem that was unsolvable by that person alone.
Can you just kind of summarize what's been happening with your efforts since the last time we talked?
Sure. So since the last time we talked, a coworker of mine who has been on a number of the cleanups with me donated an old pickup truck that he was no longer using. So I've been working on getting monies raised to get that roadworthy and insured and all that stuff. The IRS is closer to sending me my nonprofit status. There was an enormous delay, but I think that's last week I spoke with them, and I think that's resolved now. And then I just continue to go out weekly and am refining the way in which I reach out to people. I'm working on putting a website out where people can learn about the engagements that we've done and maybe what are possible to do in the future. And I'm going to start next, the third Wednesday of this month, start going to the Clutter Cleaners Club, which is something that's set up to help people who have a hoarding disorder.
How many people are involved in these efforts now?
It depends on the cleanup. So right now it's just me. There's one other person coming today to help for an hour before she has to go pick up her kids. Social media has enabled me to reach out and get people there very quickly. I think altogether, probably 50 other citizens have come and helped their neighbors in all districts, all 6 districts.
What would you say attracted you most to doing this work in the first place? What was it that kind of just got you off of the couch, so to speak, to like move and act to do something in this arena?
Well, I think I was witnessing what's happening in the country as a whole. There's this general disintegration in relationships between people living in close proximity to one another, and a more general contempt for people of different parties, religions, what have you. And so I was feeling quite a bit of despair about that. And so when I had an opportunity to just go and help on a cleanup, it really clicked with me. It was a very simple type of engagement. It was a person that was clearly in need. And doing the work freed them from the consequences of having that problem. So, which would be a court date or a very high cost abatement. And having done that, I felt this sense of peace that I had not experienced in my life prior. And so that's what kind of really got my curiosity going, and it just kind of clicked.
Yeah, it seems like from the last time we talked and having heard you speak since then as well, that a lot of it has to do with kind of reframing what it is that you see. Because when we look at this neighbor's yard that's a big mess and, clearly they're not taking care of it, that shifting the focus or shifting the perspective from an idea of them being at fault for something to them being in need. That was really profound to me. And I think there's a lot in that people can benefit from, a shift of focus. Is there a story of impact from the last couple of months maybe that you would like to share?
A retired school teacher who was living without utilities. She is now in a safe place. She's in a rental house. I went over there, I guess about a month ago now, and helped her put in a garden and set up a little fence, and just kind of celebrating her new place where she can find some peace. It's physical labor, but there's a spiritual element to it that you just have to experience.
What would you say has been most surprising to you since going on this journey from the very beginning to where you are now? What has been the biggest surprise?
The amount of need in our city, the depth of the problem. There's just so many, so many. And I think some of it is because of the pandemic, the situation that we're in, but I don't think the majority of that is. I think the trouble that we've had with employment has contributed a lot to the suffering. Our elderly folks, that's a problem that we've had culturally for many years, sort of just out of sight, out of mind. Our culture is passed on through people.
What would you like people to consider if they are watching this and thinking, maybe I could help, maybe I should help, what should I do? Whether it's involving themselves in this organization or something else, what would you just recommend for people who kind of want to help but aren't really sure where to start?
Well, I'd say first, honor that desire. It came up in your mind for a reason. So honor that, take it seriously, and spend some time with it. If nothing is obvious right away, spend some time with it. Where is it coming from? Maybe there's some experience in your past with the loved one that gave rise to that. Maybe that's something that you saw that made you think about it. Really get in touch with that, and then seek it out. And if there's someone who you think is in need, then reach out, send an email through the Facebook page, the Neighbors in Indeed Facebook page.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Richard, for revisiting the Neighbors Indeed project with me today. I really appreciate your time, and carry on.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, and I hope we're all inspired to do a little more for our neighbors in need.